Yeah, and you got Benson and Maria Henderson fighting on the card. This is the second time, I believe, that you've had a wife and the husband fight. The Kings were last time, I think. Are you becoming a couples therapist? What's going on here?
You know what? Listen, she really wanted to do it, and we said, "Hey, let's do it. This will be fun. It'll be great. It'll be great." And you know, Benson's in a tough fight. She's in a tough fight. You know, what they say: a family that kicks together sticks together. So there you go.
Would you ever consider, depending on how the night goes, but would you consider the Henderson-Melendez rematch and the Kerry Melendez versus Maria Henderson on the same night?
Boy, that's. I mean, you know, Gilbert's obviously. I think he's retired
Right.
now. But you know, I mean, you know what, Carrie. You know, I think we're gonna have her start fighting in the beginning of the year. She's a talent, but you know, Benson's wife is just an amateur. Having
Right.
her, you know, I'm not sure how many fights she's had, but it's just she hasn't turned pro yet. So, you know, let's give her a beat. Let's give her a little shot. You guys don't be too rough on her. You know?
In other news, you announced Cyborg's next fight, taking on Sinead Kavanaugh in Florida. Was there any consideration to maybe put that fight in Dublin?
There was, but the Dublin card was full, and we have such a great card there with Peter Queally. And now that you know, Patricio gave up his belt, and that's going to be a title fight for Patrici and Queally, I think that's going to be a great fight. And then the undercard is, you know, Patrick makes fighting Gallagher. I think that's going to be another great fight. So to add Cyborg on top of that, we thought that was like just a bit too much. So we said let's create another event. And you know, Cyborg, you know, she's been able to deliver. She's always been great for the sport, great for Bellator. And so, you know, we're fighting her on the 12th of November at the Hard Rock in Miami. So you guys all come out to Miami.
Do you have any explanation as to why Bellator's been able to go to all these international places now when the UFC really hasn't tried to, or anything like that?
You know, I really don't know, because I'm not sure what their, you know, international business model is. But you know, for us, I think one of the things that's really, you know, helpful is that when we're owned by a company like Viacom, we have offices all over the world, right? So we can just plug into their office and their infrastructure and their system. David Green's been doing an amazing job in Europe. Paolo Bacari, who's producing our fight in Moscow. I mean, these are, you know, friends of mine for many years, and we worked together for, you know, a dozen years or so, and more with Paulo, probably 20 years. And so they understand the martial art fight business, but they're there, and there's boots on the ground in Europe. And so there was a scenario really where the London fight might have happened without any of us, right? Meaning our staff wouldn't be able to go, our staff wouldn't be able to go to Moscow. So I told them, I said, guys, if that happens, you guys got to take the show and run it. Bring the live feed back. It's going to be a TV show for here, but we're not going to stop. You guys have to make this happen. So, you know, make a long story short, it's, you know, we have boots on the ground that can produce these fights and make these fights happen without the U.S. team going over there necessarily. It's easier when we do, but there was a backup plan to activate and make these fights happen with or without us.
Speaking of Europe, what did you think of MVP versus Douglas Lima? Did you agree with the decision? What did you think of that whole thing?
Listen, I'm not going to question the judges' decisions, right? That's really something, as a promoter, it's probably not a good idea to do. But listen, they're 1-on-1. If they want to have like a trilogy at some point, great. And I thought it was a great promotion. I thought it was a great event, and you know, it was quite a big show. So for me, it checked a lot of the boxes, and we'll definitely be back in London, and MVP will probably fight there sometime, you know, March or April next year. So we'll keep that train going.
Do you think that was enough for MVP to earn the next shot at Yaroslav Amosov, or do you guys have other plans?
I mean, look at the rankings. He's the #1 contender, right? So he'll have the first shot. And I heard that there was talk about he wanted to fight Amosov, and then he wanted the strap. And then after, he was like, I want a trilogy. So we haven't figured that part out, and we'll probably address it with him. I wanted to give a couple of weeks just to relax. Hey, go relax, go spend time with your family. I mean, I heard that was the best training camp he'd ever had, and that he was in the best shape of his life. And that's a lot of sacrifice, you know, that these athletes go through when they're in that kind of shape training for a fight of this magnitude. So, you know, we'll probably address that in the next week or so.
And I know AJ McKee's going to be here with Jalen Bates this week. You plan on sitting down with him and trying to figure out when he's ready to come back?
Yeah, because we'd love to get him back in the cage as soon as possible. And as early as maybe the end of this year, beginning of next year. Came up with a big win against Patricio. So, to me, The answer is yes. We'd love to have him back as soon as possible.
And last one for me. You just talked about a couple more shows this year. What's kind of how many more do you think we're looking at after Miami? Do you think we'll squeeze in a couple more by the end of the year?
Definitely after Miami, we'll have at least one more.
Okay.
Yeah, one more fight here in the United States before the end of the year.
Great, thanks.
I think your last few Grand Prix, like especially the welterweight one, I think fans were hoping to see the rematch between Rory and Lima in the finals. They wanted to see Fedor in the finals. They wanted Patricio, AJ, and it all worked out. And now this tournament, a lot of the big names have fallen out. So how would you say this Grand Prix has gone compared to the other ones?
You know, I tell you, I think it's gone great. And you know, the situation with Rumble, it is what it is. I mean, the guy is not healthy to fight, and health and safety is the number one concern. You know, for us, so we can't put an athlete in here or try to push an athlete if he's not ready and he's not healed up. And when he's ready, we'll have him back, and that's how I feel. So there'll be other opportunities if he's ready to come back. We'll be here, open arms for him. So that was like a little, I'd say a little pivot for us, but. To have this situation, now you have a Rocky story, right? This is a big fight.
The Daniel Cormier story.
Yeah, this is the Daniel Cormier story all over again if you think about it. I was telling the other gentleman over there, Daniel Cormier wasn't even the first alternate. He was the second alternate. And I forgot the other guy's name, but it was Bobby Lashley,
right,
and another gentleman that was the first alternate, and then Daniel was the second alternate. So to me, look at what happened with Daniel, and when, not to make this about DC because he's a great guy, but I want to talk about my guys, right? But it's this is the same type of story, and it's like the Rocky story. This is the underdog story. Look, this kid has nothing to lose but to go out there and go for it, right? He's got nothing to lose. He's going to go out there and he's going to fight, and he's fighting a killer. Nemkov is no joke. You guys know. To me, he's the best 205er in the planet. Until somebody beats this guy, I think he's the best 205er in the planet. Period.
And what was your process of choosing Angelicus to be to step up against Nemkov? Because obviously Carl was fighting earlier in the night. He's beaten Nemkov before. So why did you go with Julius Angelicus?
Well, he came off of a 9-fight win streak, and we asked him back in April when we started, and so that's he was already the alternate at that point. So it's just a matter of plugging him in. And so when this opportunity came up, we called him. He accepted, and that's what happened.
Do you think Nemkov has the potential to be the best fighter on just the roster in general, outside of the light heavyweights? I know everyone points to AJ, but like if you look at Nemkov, like to go off of that, you've heard the knocks on MVP, like fights people maybe not at his level. Nemkov became 5 champions right out of the gate. So what did you see in him that you just threw him right to the wolves right away?
You know, I saw him fight a couple fights in Japan, and I said, this guy is going to be really, really good. He just needs more experience. And then we signed him. You know, Fedor, who is his coach and advisor, said he's ready to fight anybody, and here we are. But don't knock MVP. Come on, fight. You just fought Douglas Lima.
I'm sure you hear what the fans say online.
Well, you know what? I think the fans are too hard on him. Honestly, It's like, look, this guy is super talented. He's super fast. He's the #1 contender. He didn't get there just by fighting scrubs. He fought Douglas Lima twice, right? Didn't work out the first time. Second time, appointed him. And then now he's going to have to fight the champ or fight Douglas Lima again. I mean he is in the deep waters, right? So to me it's like, come on, give the kid a little break. But this situation is like I said, Nemkov, to me he's the best 205er in the world. If he wins this tournament outright, then I think he's pound for pound. I think he and AJ are probably the 1-2 punch in the company as far as pound for pound best.
Looking at the lightweight fight, Brent Primus was very fired up that he didn't get the title shot. He's not in the vacant title. Benson's word were, I don't have anything positive to say, but I'm not going to say it. They both seem a little confused that they weren't in it, so what do you say to that?
Okay, listen, I get it, but the situation was, one of the situations was that when Patricio said, he's going to give up his belt, he was very specific, like, I'm giving up my belt for my brother to fight for the belt. So, listen, keep winning. What I would say is keep winning, and then you'll get your shot, right? This was not scheduled to be a title fight between Queally and Patricky. So, let that fight happen. Beginning of the year, let's get it on. Whoever wins, let's get it on. So, there'll be opportunities.
Scott, one last one for me. Are we getting any closer to an atomweight division?
You know what? That conversation hasn't gotten too far yet in this company. We only have so many TV dates. I want to make sure that the amount of fighters that we bring on, that we can keep them busy and keep them active. And I think that it's possible, but it hasn't really got too much traction yet.
All right, I guess one last one for me. But Horiguchi, you know, we're getting towards the end of the year. You think he'll fight in Ryzen again before fighting in Bellator? Or what are you thinking next for him?
Well, I can tell you this. Horiguchi's next fight will be against it'll be a big fight. It'll be here in the U.S. and it's going to be a great. I can't tell you what it's going to be. It's going to be
Is
amazing.
the last name
We'll
begin
see.
with Pettis?
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. Boy, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it'll happen here in the United States before the end of the year.
Scott, is there a fight other than the main event or co-main that you're really looking forward to? Maybe one on the prelims?
I'm looking forward to see Benson Henderson's wife, you know, get on with that girl, see what happens, you know. I mean, to me, it's like, that should be like a reality show, coming home and filling him out, and, you know, how was your day? And
With kids?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's just going to be, like I said, I really appreciate it because, you know, it's really like a martial arts family to me, right? And so I really have appreciation for that. And to me, that's going to be interesting. So I definitely will be here to watch that fight.
Was there a thought of having Nemkov hold off another month and fighting in Russia with Fedor?
Not really. No, we felt that Nemkov could be here. Fedor, listen, that is probably the greatest Russian MMA fight card ever put together, right? Because you have Fedor fighting, you know, on the card. You have Usman, you have Minakov, right? We have so many great fighters. Krishkov, unfortunately, is not on the card anymore. But when I'm looking for that fight from the top to bottom, it is a stacked card. And Nemkov should be here fighting in Phoenix, you know, defending his belt. And this is the next step for him. And whoever wins tomorrow night's fights, the two fighters will be fighting for $1 million, plus their purses, you know, sometime, I think, in the early first quarter.
And unfortunately, there was a death in the combat sports world. Justin Thornton died in bare knuckle. I just wanted your thoughts on
Yeah, I
it.
read about that. I don't follow like bare knuckle boxing too much. I don't know kind of rules and regulations or what kind of testing they do and things like that. But I would just urge, you know, them to really, you know, or anybody that's in the bare knuckle business, like, you know, it's being allowed by commissions, you know. And at first I was like, this is unbelievable, right? It took us how many years to get MMA legal, right? I mean, you're talking a lot of years. So, okay, so if you're going to allow it, I think you have to really regulate it and really make sure that these athletes are ready to go, because it's you know, you're putting them in harm's way, and I know that it's not any promoters, like, you know, goal to have somebody get hurt in their fight, but this is a combat sport and you have to be very careful, and that's why we go through extra testing, and we go through all the protocols that we go through and all the, you know, all the testing. So, you know, to me it's like, hey, I just urge them as a company, really go out of your way to do your due diligence and make it safe as you can for the fighters.
Is there any updates on Big Tuna and Valerie Paredes next fight?
Big Tuna.
Did he get time off work yet?
He's a big star. He's a big star, especially in San Jose. Let me tell you, when he came out, people were like, "Oh, come on!" They thought it was just a setup fight, but he's got a big punch, man. He's a big star in San Jose. We're gonna bring him back over there and have a fight. But yeah, he told me he couldn't fight anymore because he had to take time off. And I said, "Well, we should talk about that. We should make something happen for you." But what a character, man. He loved it. He was out in the crowd, and he was having a good time. So big star. And Valerie, I think Valerie's scheduled to fight in Miami. That's what we're looking for.
But no opponents yet?
No, the opponent has not been identified, but that is our goal.
Scott, I got one. Kind of taking off of what Jose said. This is not to get you to bash the UFC at all, but when fighters come out and they're displeased, Dana has his approach, and your approach is very different, right? So you have Primus and Henderson are a little bit upset about how things fell. Is it more your personality, or is it more like a company mission statement that you're like, okay, I'm a fighter's promoter, I want to hear these guys out, I'm not going to bash them, I'm not going to get into a back and forth on social media. How do you approach it differently than maybe some other promoters might?
I can just tell you this. I don't want to comment on any other promotion and this stuff, because that's not been my style, you know. And, you know, I love martial arts, man. And one thing I learned in Japan working for K1, for Mr. Ishii, was that the fighters are the samurai. They're the warriors. They're the ones, the Bushido's spirit comes from them, and they're the ones stepping in the cage, right? And at the end of the day, if you don't love them for that, and you don't have respect for them for that, and you don't, you know, then, you know, that's how you run your stuff. And I'm not saying that about anybody. I'm just saying for me, it's like, you know, I really respect these guys, and to me, it's, you know, business is about people, right? And I've had a really good relationship with most of my fighters, and especially my top fighters. Sometimes we have, you know, a lot of athletes, but, you know, I try to stay in touch and communicate. And if they need something, we're talking, or the managers. But to me, you know, this is a people business, and this is something I really love. And for me, it's been a lifelong martial arts journey, right? And I feel very fortunate for it to continue. And you know, we always try to find common ground with our guys, and it doesn't always work, right? And sometimes the stakes are high, and it doesn't always work. But we'll do our best to make it work. But at the end of the day, something I learned from Mr. K1 was, you know, hey, these are the guys stepping in the cage. These are the warriors. You know, we have to respect them as, you know, the samurai. So I said, okay, I got it. And I really try to implement that into my philosophy and of operating a fight company and having a business with the, you know, a relationship with the fighters and managers, and you know, it's integrated into I think our company philosophy, to be honest, and not just with the fighters, but with the staff and with everybody. You know, it's a good thing, I think.
And Kai Kamaka III is once again under the Bellator banner.
Mm-hmm.
How excited are you to be working with him again? And what was the conversation like in re-signing him?
Yeah, we talked to his manager, and you know, he wanted to come back, and we said, hey, let's give him a shot. You know, to me, I think he still has some fights left in him. I thought he was talented when he fought for us, and you know, anybody could run into problems anywhere, and you know, you have a little skid here, a little skid there, but let's see what he has left. We're gonna give him an opportunity, and it's gonna be up to him. He's gonna, you know, definitely be thrown into some deep water right away, and if he performs, great. If he doesn't, then you know, it's that's going to be, you know, something we'll decide, or we're making some decisions at that time. But we're going to give him an opportunity for sure.
And he's looking to return in December. Is it like, has there been any talks? Has there been any contracts sent to him in terms of finding him an opponent?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. That's something you could ask Rich or Mike or Jane.
Thank you.